What is going on? Welcome back to the channel. It has been a long time in the making. Honestly, I've been gone for a few months now and I want to apologize, but I want to explain myself because a lot of people have been asking where I've been. And this video is going to be kind of a recap of what's been going on, plus where we're headed in the future. So we're in the 1991 Mazda Miata right now. This thing doesn't skip a beat these days. And while I was gone, I had quite a bit of maintenance done on this car, which I'm going to talk about here in a little bit. But first things first, we need an energy drink. This thing is so sick. Such a tiny car. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't filmed a YouTube video in a long time, so I accidentally opened my drink without cheersing you guys. So cheers. Cheers on the Pacific Punch Monster. Definitely my favorite flavor. But what we're doing in today's video, we're gonna take all three cars. Yes, I still have the blue Z, I still have the red Z, I still have all my cars. And we're gonna be washing them and putting the registration sticker on each one because it's that time of the year. I'm gonna be talking about how much I paid to register all three of my cars today. But hold that thought. We got a freeway on-ramp in the Miata. It's the best car for this, honestly. It just sticks. Aerodynamics, drop the headlights. So like I said, we're on our way over to the car wash right now. This thing is pretty dirty, I'm not gonna lie. The inside's actually not too bad, but the outside, no, it's not it. So in the last 3.5-ish months, the maintenance I've had to do on the Miata has cost me more than about any other maintenance I've had to do on this car since I've owned it, unfortunately. But everything is good to go now. We did the entire timing belt water pump service, which is a huge deal on these cars. You don't have to do it very often. Like, this is 125K miles. It was the first time I'd done it, and the car was running pretty good up until then, but honestly definitely needed some sort of tune-up. So pulling into the car wash here. I'm gonna put a clip right now of what the car sounded like before we did the service over at True Motive. Came out to about $2,000, which honestly I bought the car for like 2,500 bucks. So the car was pretty cheap, but I did buy it 7 years ago. So, you know, they weren't that expensive back then, but $2 grand for the service. I would say that the amount of time I've owned this car and the amount of money I've put into maintenance for it, it served me super well. And I felt like I owed that $2 grand to this car. Like I owed the car the maintenance. So plus it wasn't sounding that good. I'll put a little clip right here and you'll know what I'm saying, but.
Flashback.
You hear this clunking? Oh no. Is it gonna save itself? Oh, it saved itself. I don't know, it doesn't sound good.
How soon do you need the car back?
End of flashback.
All right, wash complete. So besides the $2 grand in maintenance, honestly, what just happened literally the other day, which honestly kind of stinks. I had this thing re-stitched in a while ago and it actually cracked the other day. So now water kind of leaks in here, and when it's raining, you know, obviously it doesn't keep any water out. So do I tape it? It's kind of nasty. I don't like tape on it, but honestly, it's cheaper than doing a whole new soft top, and yeah, I just don't really know. I could do the soft top myself. I've heard some horror stories though. Those soft tops are not the easiest or fun to put on, so. She cleans up pretty nice. Honestly, the Miata was the best $2,500 I ever spent in my entire life. And of course, we just had to put $2,000 worth of maintenance into it, but seriously, for $4,000, not including the wheels and tires, of course. This is an amazing car that is so much fun to drive, like the enthusiast experience, honestly, for a pretty good price, serious. Like, of course, nowadays they're a little more expensive, but even like you can get them for like $6K now. It's like, that's still not very much money. Like, I mean, it's a lot of money, but in the span of all cars, you know, $6,000, like for a super fun weekend getaway car, a good experience every time you're driving to work, like the Miata is definitely a great option, that's for sure. But anyways, we're gonna go home right now and we're gonna get the Blue Z. And we're gonna do the exact same thing. We're gonna wash the thing, we're gonna talk about the maintenance I've done over the last 3.5 months, and then we're gonna get the Red Z, and we're gonna do the exact same thing. So stay tuned. Oh, Miata gang. You know, I've seen that guy driving around Menifee, but I've never actually like seen him while driving this car. That was like Miata-ception there for a second. That was so cool. Oh man, Miata gang, Miata gang. Oh, do you hear that? I was just about to film this cold start and they're mowing their lawn across the street now. So, do we wait? I don't think so. I think we gotta just go. Back in the Blue Z. Honestly, I have not driven this thing in probably about 2 weeks now. It's just been sitting and I've been driving the Red Z every single day because there was a huge time where I drove this thing every day for like 2 months straight and the Red Z just sat there and gathered dust. I've like re-fallen in love with the Red Z recently and honestly this thing hasn't gotten enough love. So we're gonna go wash it. As you saw from these clips, like it's pretty dirty right now. So interior honestly is not too bad though. This thing is so stock radio, stock everything in the interior, honestly. It's kind of refreshing. You don't see very many Zs out there these days that are completely stock in the interior, or the exterior for that matter. Let's go to the car wash, let's wash this thing up, we'll get some cool shots of it, talk about the little bit of maintenance we gotta do, and an issue with the check engine light. This car always surprises me with the check engine light, and it's always the exact same thing, which we'll talk about here in a second, so let's head out. On ramp, you already know. Jesus. Man, this thing is insane. Like the HR 350Z, I know I've said it 500,000 times on this YouTube channel, but it is slept on. If you're in the Z market, you already know how great this car is, but everyone out there that's looking for a affordable sports car that is just, it puts the biggest smile on your face. I mean, the HR 350Z, honestly, I say HR, but all 350Zs, realistically, all 350Zs are just so much fun. I love this car. I love this car. We're almost to the car wash right now. This thing deserves some love because, I mean, this is crazy. Like, and that's with the AC on. Think about it, think about it. That sound, that power, and the AC blowing. Like, is that not the best of all worlds? And you could put Apple CarPlay in this thing, which is what we have in the Red Z. Just an amazing vehicle all around driver's car. Like the Miata, it's a little loud on the freeway, I'll admit, just because the soft top and the thin doors and everything's kind of thin on that car, but it feels thin because it feels so light, you know, and like that's kind of what you pay for with the Miata. You want that lightweight experience when you're handling canyons. But like this car, it sounds amazing. I mean, it puts up a fight against most other cars out there for the price range, for sure. And like you get on the freeway and it's still a solid piece of machinery. Like there's no crazy wind noise. It feels solid. Like the road noise is not bad whatsoever. Oh. It's got windshield wipers. It's just a great car all around. and I would recommend the Z to anyone looking for like an entry-level sports car, because super affordable, resilient engines, and super fun. Like, checks all the boxes for me. And I've been thinking to myself in all these videos or all these months previously, should I get a different car? Should I branch out from 350Z? And like, of course, it would be cool to try something different, of course, you know, but I keep coming back to the Z at the end of the day. Parts are prevalent. It's fairly easy to work on. It's a little tight in the engine bay. That's all I'll say. It's a little tight in the engine bay, but it's nothing that's impossible. It's nothing impossible. All right, at the car wash, let's jump out and wash this thing. All clean. The time has finally come, you guys. I don't know if you remember this happening, but I'll link the video in the top right of the corner. But honestly, RSO got us. It was a registration issue. Everything has been solved since then, but I've kept this on here for just, you know, nostalgia and memories. But I think it's time for it to go, honestly. So it should just, oh, yep, there we go. To get this thing out of the impound lot, the very next day, it cost me a whopping $850. One day in the impound lot, $550 in fees, and then $160 a day or something for the impound fee. It's just crazy. Like, do whatever you can to not get state repped, because it's terrible. I couldn't drive this thing until I got it all figured out. Bam! Consider this a new beginning for the channel and the cars, you know? This thing does clean up pretty good. This paint is immaculate, which is so awesome. The San Marino blue, only 1.7% of all 350Zs ever made, manual and automatic, were this color. I think they made around 125,000 Zs over the run from 03 to 08 and partially 09. So this seriously, with the manual, I don't know, maybe less than 2,000 cars, 1,500 cars out there, which is amazing, honestly. Almost as rare as a Nismo, which is pretty sweet. Let's go cruise around now that it's clean. Dang. Jeez. That is insanely loud inside of this car wash right now. One more. Wow. Oh man, this thing is so cool. Runs like a dream. We just got this one phony check engine light, and it's just for the O2 sensor in the exhaust. And what the issue is that the headers coming directly off the engine have two O2 sensors, one on each side, driver's side and passenger side. And then a little bit down the exhaust, they have two more. The exhaust coming out of the engine, and then once it goes through the catalytic converter, there's another O2 sensor. And this is how it decides how much air and fuel to put into the engine, basically. So when one of those O2 sensors is a little confused, which this one is a little confused and needs to be replaced, it throws a check engine light because it doesn't exactly know how much fuel and air to put into the engine. Luckily, after a few minutes, the car kind of figures out that it can rely on other ways to figure that information out, like between the mass airflow sensors and the exhaust. Stuff like that help a lot with the whole fuel and air ratio. So the specific problem I have with this car is that the O2 sensors closest to the engine coming off the headers have basically been welded to the exhaust. So it got so hot, it's been so long since they've been replaced, they actually are fused to the metal now. We were trying to get them off, and we were worried that we were gonna crack the headers because they just would not unscrew. So, and they're probably stripped because the O2 sensors down the exhaust, like past the catalytic converters, were stripped when we replaced those. So I'm gonna need two new headers, or one for each side of the engine for this car. And installing headers, that's all just, you know, it's not the worst. It's not the worst, but getting up in there, like I said earlier, with the 350Z engine bay being kind of tight, it is a little difficult at times. So that's kind of what's been the issue with this car, and that's why the check engine light's been on. The car runs flawlessly. The car does not skip a beat. It's just an amazing car. So it's just this check engine light that's on right now. Just because the sensor's shot, it doesn't exactly know. It's basically just letting us know that that sensor needs to be replaced. It's not like the check engine light is for the car not running correctly or anything. So let's jump out right here, get a little walk around of the car while it's clean, because it looks so good right now. Man, when this thing is clean, it looks so good. That paint is amazing. And it sounds amazing. Listen to this thing. That's insane. This idle, this low grumbling idle is so cool and aggressive. I love it. Such a different car from the Miata. And yes, I still need emblems. Feel free to roast me in the comments until I get my emblems, you guys, because they're like $200. And I just, you know, there's other things I gotta spend my money on right now. And it's kind of clean with no emblems. We need to go back and watch the red car now. The Z's are so cool. I love how this A-pillar like glows as you walk around with the sun. Just so sweet. Listen to the sound of this thing. It's just insane. Interior in this thing, Apple CarPlay with the carbon doors. I mean, look at this side. Full carbon, pretty insane. On-ramp, number 3, you already know. Geez, that carbon, it looks so good. Second gear. Here we go. Oh, the aroma, the oil smell is so good. The red is so cool in this car. It's so bright, like with the hood there. I love it. You can see it in the rearview mirror with the wing. There's so many things about this car that are amazing. Wow. I love this red car so much. The sound, the power. Jeez. One thing I love about this car is after about 4,000 RPM, the sound changes. Like it gets even more like aggressive or gurgly sounding as you get above 4,000 RPM. I believe that's like when the variable valve timing kicks in. It's almost like 350Z VTEC basically, like you can feel it. At about 4,000 is when it happens, and it sounds cool too. So just an amazing car all around. I was driving the blue car pretty much every single day for like 2 months straight, and then one day I was like, you know, the red car is not getting enough love, so here we are driving the red car. Honestly, the last like 2 or 3 weeks I've been pretty much driving this thing every day, well, going back and forth between the Miata, and that's why the blue Z was so dirty. And honestly, this one doesn't look too bad right now. I actually went and washed it about 5 or 6 days ago, but it's still pretty dusty, so we're gonna take it for a wash just because, you know, it's just a wash type of day. It's like 80 out, Southern California. So nice. This car started the channel for us, you guys. And I had the Miata beforehand, but for some reason I loved driving the Miata. Filming it was never on my mind. And then I got this car actually in 2019. I've literally had it for 5 years now. That's insane. I've had this red Z for 5 years. I just didn't know what to do with myself. I was staying home every day. My friends were home every day. The roads were empty, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go and see if I can film some videos because, you know, might as well. I was literally doing nothing every day. Just like waiting for COVID to be over. And what if I would have honestly, if I would have known that COVID was gonna last, the whole thing was gonna last like over a year, it would have been a no-brainer. But I just wasn't sure like how long it was gonna be. I was already so busy with school and everything, so it's crazy, you know? The little tiny decisions you make that end up changing the whole course of your life just because you kind of just go through with things. Like, if there's anything you've been second guessing yourself about, or anything you've been wanting to do, you've just been putting it off, waiting for the right time, there's no right time. The right time is now, honestly. Like, it's never gonna get better. I promise you, if you start now, a month from now, you'll be so happy you started a month ago, you know? Because I say it to myself now, it's like, I'm so thankful. Like, of course it was endless and it seemed like so much energy being, you know, put into it, but I am so thankful I started this YouTube thing when I did, because even getting back into it right now after it's been 3 or 4 months of not doing it, like, I've already done so much on the channel, and it's so cool to look back and watch those videos and have like a database of content and stuff. So, but I had to start back then to be here now. And like, honestly, it's not a race for anyone. When I started this channel, there were so many channels that had hundreds of thousands, millions of subs. And there were so many times where I was like, there's, you know, no one's gonna watch my videos. Everyone says you gotta find your own method and your own thing, the thing that makes you unique and stuff. And honestly, it just hit me one day that I am that thing. You know, like, you already have it. You've already got that thing that makes you different, and it's you. It's your personal experiences, your personality. It's no one else has it, I promise you. They might drive 350Zs, they might drive red 350Zs, but I mean, no one's gonna be you, okay? And that's the difference. Like, once you realize that you are the special thing that will separate you from everyone else, you just go all in, like, honestly, and you don't compare yourself to anyone. Comparison is the thief of joy. We've all heard that quote before, and just give it everything you've got. I promise you'll surprise yourself. You really will. Enough rambling from me. We're almost at the car wash. I can't wait for this thing to be clean. All 3 cars are gonna be spotless, and then we're gonna head home and we're gonna put the registration stickers on because, well, firstly, they all need registration stickers. They're kind of, they're not expired yet, but I've had them for a little bit. I've kind of been waiting for this video to put them on, so they are getting close, that's for sure. And we'll talk about how much I paid to register each one of my cars, 2 Zs and a Miata. Leave a comment right now down below on what you think I paid for all 3 registrations. Honestly, it might be more than you think, it might be less than you think. Go ahead and drop a comment and we'll talk about it in a little bit. Round 3 at the car wash. When I say I live here, I mean it. I literally feel like I live here. All right, gotta get a sound clip just because, you know. Wow. So different from the Blue Z. The Blue Z is like a screaming sound, and this car is kind of like a really smooth, I don't know, it just sounds like a really smooth V6. Like, I don't have any other words to explain it. Like, it doesn't really sound like anything specifically, but like if you're familiar with that like V6 rumble, or like that smooth V6 sound, it just sounds like that, only super smooth. There's no rasp and nothing, so it's pretty impressive. I honestly, the gentleman's exhaust is what they call it on this car. All right, let's watch this thing. This thing is absolutely insane. From the front lip to the wheels to the polished headlights, it's just so clean. And the wing works with the front lip so well. I love this car. All right, headed out of the car wash. It's rare you find a car that's looks just as good as fun as it is to drive. And I'm telling you, this car checks both boxes and then some. Sheesh. Breaking the wheels loose out here. Windows up for this pull. And we're out. Oh my God. I know, I shouldn't be flooring it like that while the gas light is on. $5.79 a gallon. It's hard to keep gas in all of these cars these days, okay? I need to go to the gas station though. But we're almost back. We're gonna put the registration stickers on the car. But geez, like this thing, I know the rev up gets its hate. I know why it gets its hate, but like proper maintenance, I'm telling you, every person that dogs a rev up owned one, didn't check the oil and blew the engine, and it cost them $5 grand to put a new engine in there. I'm telling you, that has got to be the reason, because oil changes, oil filter, you know, just doing your maintenance, doing normal maintenance, checking the oil, which obviously a lot of people think, you know, I shouldn't have to check the oil of my car, but like you got to do an oil change every 3 months, 3,000 miles, you know, like that's, I mean, normal, but some people don't, and then the engine goes and they blame the car. So it's like, I get it though. The car does burn a lot of oil. Not all of the rev ups do, but most of them do. Mine does. It burns like a quart a month when I'm driving it consistently, and that's kind of a lot of oil if you think about it. But I love the car. It rips. Like this thing is so amazing to drive. It sounds great. It smells good. It's got this oil sensation going on that I think it's fantastic. A lot of people are like, you can smell the oil when you accelerate. That can't be good. Realistically, it's not. But it's simply because the rings and the pistons, they're tapered and the cylinders are not. Of course, there's gonna be a little bit of blow by, and that oil I'm smelling is just oil, you know, seeping through and getting into the combustion chamber and burning off. You know, people say oil leaking anywhere is bad, but let's be honest, like a lawnmower, like a leaf blower, or a weed whacker, like a weed eater, those things literally burn oil and gasoline at the same time because they don't have oil. Some burn more than others, and I'm sure mine is on the higher end, you know, a quart a month. So I like checking the oil, honestly. Like being, you know, in the know what's going on under the hood, it gets me to open the hood once a week or every, you know, other week if I'm pushing it. And like, I know people that drive project cars that don't even open the hood because there's like no reason to. So technically, it's nice having a reason to check under the hood every now and then. So that's just my opinion though. Just made it back. Let's put these registration stickers on, but let's get some shots real quick of the two Z's next to each other because, I mean, they just look so cool, you know? Same front lip and everything. Alright, so we had to pull the Miata over because it wouldn't be fair to have a car show without the Miata. But man, we're blocking the street, but honestly, for good reason, It looks pretty cool over here right now. But anyways, we got 3 registration stickers, count them. Let's jump in here for a sec so we can talk about it. The coolest thing I noticed is that these two, this one's for the Miata, this one's for the Z, they're one number apart. Look at 524. 525, which is super cool. Super cool. All right, so we're gonna go in order from the blue Z to the red Z to the Miata last. So kind of fair pricing, I'd say. Still kind of a lot for how old the cars are getting, but honestly, I can't help but imagine they're just gonna keep raising registration costs to force us all to buy electric cars. But that's just my opinion. That might not be true. But anyways, for the blue 350Z HR, 2-seat sports car, I paid $175 for this yellow sticker right here, and honestly, fair price. I think, I mean, it's definitely a lot of money, but you know, we're gonna get to the crazy numbers here in a second. Next is the red Z, 2006 Nissan 350Z rev up, rear wheel drive sports car, 2 seats, 2 doors, you know, sports car, $171. So $175 for the HR, $171 for the rev up. So total, that's $350-ish, around $350. And then lastly, the one that kind of blows my mind is this 33-year-old 2-seater sports car that, let's be honest, not many people are dailying these cars, honestly. So I feel like the government kind of knows that people aren't driving these cars very often. Of course, there's people out there that daily these things, but I feel like a lot of people own these things as just like a weekend car. And so I feel like the registration should be less, knowing that you're not gonna drive it very often. But honestly, that's what insurance is for. You tell the insurance you don't drive it very often, and they adjust the price likewise, right? I remember when I got this Miata, I paid $73 for my first year registration, and I was like, dang, that's kind of a lot. But I was super young, this was like my first sports car, and now I feel like $73 really is not that bad, because just those two cars over there cost me almost 4 times that. The Miata was $153 for registration this year. Yes, it's a lot of money, and it's a lot more than I was paying, more than double what I was paying before in the past. But for a 33-year-old sports car that they know people probably aren't dailying, I feel like that's kind of a lot. I think it should be sub 100 bucks, but they want people to buy electric cars. They do. I mean, that's my opinion. Me and my dad always joke about how they're just gonna keep raising the cost of registration for gas cars until we're all forced to buy electric cars. My girlfriend, Megan, drives a 2019 Volkswagen Jetta, and her registration this year was $290. That's a lot of money. That's a lot. That's basically the Z and the Miata combined. So I don't know, really not too bad, but about $460, $470, $460, $470 for registration this year. Kind of a lot, but honestly, I'm just glad they're all able to be driven on the roads. I know there's so many people with project cars out there that aren't street legal, aren't able to be driven whatsoever. And California is the worst state, like absolutely the worst when it comes to emissions, registration costs, basically just everything as far as fees go. So, you know, I guess I can't complain. Less than $500 to register 3 cars for an entire year. It is what it is, you know, like I want to drive these cars, I'm gonna have to pay the costs. So let's put these stickers on. All right, let's do the blue Z first. March, oh gosh, I thought that said May. That is definitely overdue by like 2 months. Sheesh. Bam, 2025, sweet. This one was May. I thought that one was May. May 2024. It's time to change this. 2025, May of 2025. Sweet. Both of these are legal. Amazing. Last but not least, all right, March. Oh dang, this one was expired too. March of 2024. All right, all 3 cars are legal to drive on the road for the next year, which is super awesome. Let's park the Miata real quick and we'll come back. 2, count them, 2 street legal Nissan 350Zs. Street legal Nissan 350Zs. And they're both really clean now because we washed them. All right, thank you so much for tuning in today. If you watched to the end of this video, I seriously appreciate you. Like, it's been months since I posted, and if you're still sticking around, if you're still rocking with me, you're seriously a real one. Like, I really appreciate that. I've had a really busy last few months, and the car maintenance was so expensive. Honestly, $2 grand on the Miata really did me in a few months ago. So it was nice to be able to just put my head down and get some work done. But honestly, the work I was missing out on was what I really had passion for, and that's filming these videos with these cars. So I got a lot more in store for you guys, a lot more video ideas coming up. I'm not going to disappear again, I promise. This is what I want to do. This is everything for me, honestly. I mean, I own 3 project cars that are not even getting into it. I'm not even gonna get into it, but they've been a lot the last few years. I've put so much time into them, and I can't give up on them now. So we got a lot more going on. Let me know what you want in the comments. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hit the subscribe button if you're new. Drop a like if you haven't yet already on this video and you want to see more like it. Leave a comment down below if you got anything to say. I'm gonna do my best to reply to every single person in this video, just because I feel like I owe it to you guys. So anyways, thank you once again. I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.